That nudge kept getting louder and louder. And eventually I just thought, if I don't do this, I'm never going to do it.
Welcome to the Legacy Branding Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Beauparlant, here to guide you through the journey of selling your business and building a personal brand that leaves a lasting impact. On the show, we'll explore real-life founder stories, expert insights, and actionable strategies to help you navigate the transition, avoid post-sale crisis, and create your impact-driven legacy brand. Whether you're thinking of selling, building to sell, or already on the other side, this podcast is your go-to resource for making your next evolution your best one yet. Let's dive in. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Tara Downey to the Legacy Branding Podcast. Tara has been in the financial services industry for 20 years, and in 2020, amidst the challenges of the pandemic, she took the bold step of launching her own practice, Trū Insurance and Investments. With a clear vision to empower clients and provide financial advice that's authentic and approachable, Tara has made it her mission to guide people through their personal money stories in a meaningful way. She's a no-nonsense, jeans and heels kind of gal who brings joy and mindfulness to the financial journey. Tara, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This
I'm
is
so
amazing.
excited. So, Tara, you and I worked together when you were first launching your business back in 2020, which is kind of wild to think it's been over 4 years that you decided to leave your corporate career behind and launch your own business. And you worked with us through Brand Camp and design, and we got to see you through that entire journey. And it was so fun. And it's so great to connect with you again and to see how successful you and your business have become. So first of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you. It has been an amazing ride, and you were my first partner to get this all going. And so thanks to you.
Amazing. It was quite the journey. And then I still remember us meeting for the first time in person, because when we were working together, it was like the height of the pandemic. So it was always fun when I get to meet my clients in person. And I loved that we had that opportunity. So I wanted to start by asking your journey. You spent 20 years in financial services, then you started your business. And I wanted to know if you would share what drove you to make that choice and to take that step.
So I started my actual career as a financial advisor way back when. And so I was a young 20 something woman getting her first job, and it was as a financial advisor. And so I quickly got to see what this industry was all about, and I loved it. It really resonated with me. Now, at that time, that role just wasn't right for me. It wasn't the right time or the right place for me. I had young children at the time, and so moved into the corporate side and was there for almost 20 years. I loved, again, that what financial services, the role that it played in people's lives. And so being on the corporate side, it was great to learn. It was great to see the business from a different angle. Over the years and over time, I would meet with different advisors. My roles often had connections to the advisor role still, and I would feel their energy. And it was something about every time I was in a room full of advisors, the energy was something I just can't even explain the feeling of it. And so there was always this thing inside of me that said, at some point, I feel like that's me. At some point, I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to do it my way in my time, being the person that I am today, which was very different than my 20 something woman. And so there was always that inside of me. And then over time, it just kept getting louder and louder. That nudge kept getting louder and louder. And eventually I just thought, if I don't do this, I'm never going to do it. And it was scary. I had thought about it years and years in the past, but a super scary decision to make.
Do you remember the moment that you made the decision?
I do. It was a time when our organization was going through another big, and I really thought, is this the time to jump into that next change on the corporate side? Or is this the time to launch my practice and do this thing I've been thinking about for years? I think what really made me take the leap was my fear and worry that if I don't do this, I may just stay in corporate for the rest of my career. So I think that thought really scared me because I thought, no, I have great things I want to do in this space. I need to do it. And so it was like a chat with my husband, of course, because we really make a lot of our big decisions as a collective. Of course, even though I knew this is really what I had to do.
I love that you listen to the nudges. And I think we all
Mhm.
get them, but it's whether or not you listen to them. And I always say they start off as a whisper and they'll end up as a sledgehammer if you don't listen. You didn't get to the sledgehammer point, but I think it is listening to those nudges and you could see yourself in that change. And I think a lot of times, and you said it, you could see just staying in this career forever. And would that be terrible? No, you enjoyed it, but you knew there was something
Mhm.
else out there for you. And a lot of people get stuck with those golden handcuffs of, okay, this is
Mhm.
comfortable. I know this, but change happens inside of organizations and you don't have any control over the direction that may go. And so now you have full ownership of your life and your business and its success.
For sure. And I remember in the moment thinking, this is either the smartest decision of my life or it is the dumbest decision of my life. You're leaving your salary and your pension and all the things that were those stable pieces in your life to jump to something that is completely unknown. The path isn't set out for you. The road is not clear. So all of those things were in front of me. But I think in that moment, I remember feeling that belief in myself. If I put the energy and the time and the effort into building my financial practice the way that I put that time, energy, and passion into my corporate career, this is going to be
Yeah.
amazing. But it was that belief without having any of the knowns in front of you.
Yeah, that can definitely be scary and detract a lot of people from it. So, what was it that
Mhm.
made you decide to invest in your branding? I think that's an interesting thing for people to consider. A lot of times people think, I'm going to get my business going and make some money and then I'll invest in branding. And I remember you saying you knew the importance of branding right up front and you were willing to put the money in before you made a cent from your business, which again,
Again,
a big risk in a way. So can you walk us through the thought process around that?
I love when you play it back for me. It's like, again, I haven't made a dime, but I'm investing in my business right from the very beginning. I knew I wanted to do it right. I had a vision in my soul, but I didn't know how to necessarily bring it to life in a public way and in a space where, you know what, we're in the middle of COVID and I don't even know how to get clients right now because I can't go to networking events. I can't see people the way that I could maybe in the past. So, not only was I dealing with starting my own practice, all of the things that I knew about the business from the past were thrown out the window in this moment that I was saying, let's go. I remember talking to a friend of mine who was a great mentor as I was going through some of this and she knew you. And I was talking a little bit about like my name and the work that I was doing. And she said, I've got the perfect person. You know how things just happen in the
Yep.
universe? Like you have these conversations and it connects you to these people or things. That's really how it happened. And I knew I needed to partner with someone to, again, do it right. That's not my skill. I originally thought I was going to get my logo and my branding, but it was so much more than that. So it went way deeper than I anticipated, which was exactly what I needed as well at that time when I had all these thoughts and I was just trying to create and formulate them into who I was as a business owner and what my practice was going to be.
Yeah, it's always so amazing to hear back these stories after a few years, hearing the impact that it had on your business, getting it right from the beginning. And I think that makes a huge difference. So thanks for sharing that. You're mostly in a male dominated industry. And it's an industry that can often be seen as stuffy and transactional and golf course deals and things like that. So, how do you maintain your authenticity? You're a jeans and heels kind of gal, right? So, How do you maintain that and really bring a sense of joy to the subject of money, which is a tough subject for so many people? It's so wrapped up in emotions.
That also for me was very scary because, again, growing up in this industry, I was very familiar with how advisor practices operated and how typically we built relationships. And when I decided to, again, take this leap, I really was committed to doing it in an authentic way that felt right to me, that didn't feel like I was doing all these things because that's how you had to build relationships or how you had to build your client base. When we did a lot of our work, I think some of it came from that too. I was nervous to talk about joy or talk about money in a fun way because that's not what I've seen or what you see often out there. So having a voice that said these words and still represented a competent financial practice was an odd place for me to be. But again, I think I just went into it with, I felt like there was a need out there for a different approach and a different way of seeing money, talking about money, and quite frankly, working with a financial planner, financial advisor. And so I had to really just stay focused on that because I felt deeply in my heart that it was needed out there. And so I wanted to have my authentic voice and really speak from the heart, then say things that just weren't me. Then why do this whole thing?
Yeah.
Like that was just me. So go
Yeah.
for
And I
it.
remember your photo shoot for your website was you in jeans and heels and a t-shirt with your tagline on it. And that's not what you typically see. It's the dark suits and the crossed arms. And no, that's not Tara. So how
Mm.
has that been received? You putting yourself out there as your authentic self?
It has been amazing. It has been really well received. I love when I run into people and they feel like they know me. It's not that I'm saying these things and then you meet me and it's a different thing. When they say that, it makes me feel like, yes, this is what I was hoping for. You never know what that outcome will be. And even fellow colleagues and other advisors in my network love my approach. And I think what's amazing in our industry is there is a right fit financial planner out there for everyone. And I may not be everybody's cup of tea. Someone else might not be your cup of tea, but there's so many different approaches out there. And so finding the right person for you to be a part of your financial journey is so important. And I think that's why we all have to go out there as our authentic selves so that you can find your fit.
Yeah. And I think you're a breath of fresh air in the industry.
Thank you.
So you help people navigate their personal money stories. So can you share a little bit
Mhm.
about how you approach that and maybe if you want to share some of your own money story?
I always approach the relationship as, again, we're building from the very beginning. So, understanding your past money story. Where are you starting from? How do you feel about money? Because really, when we are trying to get all the way down to achieving your financial goals, if we don't start with understanding what's going on and how do you feel about that, and what might some barriers be along the way, and how can I help you with that? It would be really difficult to get to that end result without talking and addressing some of these things. Also, spending a lot of time on goals, like digging into what are your goals, whether they be personally, professionally, so that we can align every financial decision you're making. A lot of the work we do up front is that before we even get to the what are some solutions or what are some things that you can do to help achieve your goals, that comes as part of the process. But spending the time up front, really understanding who we're working with and what they're all about is very important to our process.
Yeah. And I'm assuming a lot of people's negative money stories from their childhood, maybe how they grew up without money, or maybe they don't feel like they deserve
Mm.
money, or they feel like there's like all of these labels that get attached to it and people don't really want to talk about it. Are there some common money stories that you see playing out with your clients?
Yeah, for sure. So I think a lot around fear and scarcity around money. And I think it's potentially your upbringing, how your parents either didn't talk about money or talked about money in a really negative way. And I grew up with that myself, just not talking a lot about money, which is funny because now I'm in this business, but I think that's part of what inspired me for the love of it was to get people talking about money. And that wasn't something that I grew up with. And I know I had money scarcity. I had a piggy bank, which I still have today. And I remember putting my money in it and hiding it under a wooden plank in our floor. Like I was hiding my money so it would be safe. And I think over the years that would creep into my thought patterns around money. And it's really changing some of those thought patterns and also changing your habits around money. I was just talking to someone earlier this week, and we were talking about money being your friend and how do you treat your friends? You treat them with kindness and you love them and you say great things about them. And so if we think about money as that energy, what energy are you putting out? And so if you're putting negative energy out to money, what kind of relationship are you going to have? Probably a pretty
Yeah.
crappy one. What shifts can we make so that you feel great about that? That piece really, I think, shifts people's mindsets and their feelings about money because they feel like, oh, I have control over this. I can make shifts to a more positive money mindset.
I love it. So when you think about your legacy and the brand that you're building with Trū Insurance and Investments, what is the impact that you're hoping to leave behind in your own life with your clients and maybe in the financial services world?
I work with women, families, but I do feel like one legacy, one piece that I'm really passionate about is helping women feel more confident about their money decisions and their money journey, helping them embrace their financial power because I do think we as women we go through different things in life, and how do we navigate our money story during times of taking time off work, being out of the earning world for 9 months or a year while you're on mat leave. There are things that we experience, and so creating confidence around money is one of the pieces that I have been focused on as I'm building my practice because I want women feeling amazing and confident about building their wealth and making amazing decisions around their money. If I can get more families, more people talking about how they're feeling about money, that would be a huge win.
So what's your vision for the future of the business? Do you have big plans?
Oh, I have so many big ideas, but am excited to keep growing this practice. Growth is where I'm at in terms of wanting to help more and more people with their money stories and creating money stories that they can feel excited about and happy about and joyful about. And so for me, working with more and more amazing clients is what I'm really
I
excited
love it.
about.
So
Mhm.
if somebody is listening to this and they are currently in a corporate career, maybe they've been in it for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, but they're like, there's something else for me. I know I want to do something more, but they're hesitant to start something maybe later in life or wherever they are. They've got those golden handcuffs that I mentioned. What advice would you give them?
Do it, take the leap, and at any age, looking at what do you want the next 20 years to look like? What do you want your future to look like? And if it's not where you currently are, if you know that in your gut, then do it. It's going to feel scary and it's going to be work. It's not without putting in that effort, but you will feel amazing about it. It was a scary thing for me, but you just move forward and you're learning along the way. So I think what's the worst that can happen? You take the leap, you learn something, you pivot, you learn something, just part of the learning journey.
I think it's one of those things too that you take the leap, and even if it doesn't work out the way you hoped or you planned, something else will come or happen. And like you mentioned, that pivot, I think the biggest challenge for people is the regret they may have that they never tried. And I always say, I'd rather
Mhm.
try and fail at something or learn because failure is learning and we all
Yeah.
need it and it happens to all of us than to not try and always wonder what if. And so I
Mhm.
guess my thoughts
Yeah.
are if you're in that stage of what if
Mhm.
I don't do it, but what if you do it? Imagine what
Yeah.
that could look like. Your personal story is resilience, single motherhood, divorce. Now you're happily married again. You started your own business. It's easy for you to come on and be like, we're talking about money and joyfulness and mindfulness. And a lot of people might go, you've always had this. Maybe you've had it easy. And I think it's important to also share your own experience, how that has shaped your journey, both with money and in entrepreneurship, and how you've maintained that positive outlook and embraced joy while navigating these things.
My background and my history has also created that internal passion for what I do today because I didn't have it easy. When I went through divorce, I was a young mother with two young children, and I had to work two jobs. So at that point, I was in my corporate role, working up the corporate ladder. So full time job there. And I had to waitress in the night. But I did that to make it work. And so I had a time there where I was like trying to be a mom and trying to be this corporate person building your career and working a second job to make it all work. And so it wasn't easy financially to try and figure that all out and make sure that you could still put your kids in hockey or give them the things that you wanted to give them. And I didn't actually have a financial partner at that time. And I'm thinking, wow, wouldn't it have been so much better if I was working with someone to help me navigate this really challenging? And yes, I had some background in finance, but again, I was really early in my career at that time. And so I think the concept that money touches so many elements of your life. And even when things were difficult and challenging, you had a choice to build for the future and to find joy in the moments that you had. And I think when I was going through those difficult times and those difficult years, that was what I focused on, was finding joy in those moments, building for the future, having belief that there is a bright future ahead, even though you're going through something really tough. And it didn't mean that you didn't have crappy days and tears and things that were happening. All of that was true. But at the same time, I could find joy not only for me, but also for my kids and what they got to see growing up. We really were looking forward to the future. And so that's what I think I was able to also give my kids as we were moving along.
That's
So,
a
yeah.
beautiful legacy you're leaving behind for your kids, for them to have that relationship with you, but also with money, and to maybe not have some of that baggage that can come when you are going through some hardships like that. And I think your personal experience and the fact that you share it's part of your authenticity, and it's what will make people connect with you because maybe they've been there, maybe they're in that right now, and they feel like you're making it possible for them. And that is a beautiful gift that you're giving to the world. So thank you for taking the leap and starting your business, Tara. So how can people connect with you? Where can they find you if they want to talk about working together or connect with you on social? What's the best way for them to reach you?
I am on social, so Instagram and Facebook at Inspired by Trū. I have a website, www.trū-ii.com, so you can reach me there. I hope you follow along. I do try and post and just share information with my network and my community.
Amazing. So we'll make sure those links are in the show notes. Tara, thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was so great.
Thanks for tuning into the Legacy Branding Podcast. I hope today's episode has inspired and empowered you on your journey to building a brand that truly matters. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other founders who you think would benefit from listening. And if you're ready to take the next step in building your legacy brand, visit our website, labcreative.ca, to learn more and book a call. Don't forget to join us next time for more conversations that will help you navigate your transition and create your legacy. Until then, I'm Laura Beauparlant.